When the fragments of a crumbling empire float through space, a startling revelation emerges. An immense power can be dismantled by a determined force. Brace yourself for the birth of a new galactic saga, where unexpected champions recast destiny. Witness the passion and turmoil as a daring revolt questions the nature of liberation itself. How far would you go to challenge a tyrannical regime? If you want to dive into real stories of parallel realities every day, in enigmatic, technological worlds that are completely different from our planet, subscribe to our channel and leave your like. Well, let's go. In the vast stretch of the Andromeda Galaxy, planets buzzed with activity under neon-lit skies, and ethereal rings of debris circled celestial fragments of destroyed empires. The Galactic Empire, long known for its tyrannical rule and unrelenting domination, cast an ominous shadow across 1,000 worlds. Their reputation for cruelty was pronounced by the whispered legends of a doomsday weapon that could incinerate entire planets into nothingness, an ultimate symbol of their unyielding grip over the cosmos. Rippling through the starry expanse was a name that struck both fear and hope in the hearts of many: the Slayer. This mythical figure, a warrior of unchallenged strength, was said to be as relentless as the relentless force of nature itself. The Slayer's physical appearance was both awe-inspiring and haunting. Clad in dark, streamlined armor that seemed to absorb and refract light, the enigmatic warrior's piercing, violet eyes could convey a multitude of emotions, ranging from righteous fury to profound sorrow. On the isolated moon of Mephistia IV, a clandestine installation bred fear. Beneath its reinforced domes and defensive shields, scientists and military operatives worked feverishly on the Empire's top-secret weapon. Here, the walls reverberated with the echoes of despair and the inevitability of suppression. Inside the sterile, metallic halls laid specimens of unnatural experiments, charting the darkest desires of mankind's quest for absolute control. Through a veil of nebulas and interstellar fogs, the Slayer descended upon Mephistia IV. Armed with an ancient blade glowing with a faint, cerulean light and an arsenal of futuristic weaponry, the Slayer wove through formidable defenses like a specter. Able to neutralize entire battalions single-handedly, this lone sentinel unleashed a cacophony of destruction upon the installation. The battle was swift but monumental, leaving in its wake a graveyard of smoldering machinery and silenced opposition. This singular act of defiance spread like wildfire across the galaxy, kindling a volatile mixture of fear and inspiration. The ordinary and oppressed dared to dream again. Murmurs of the Slayer's triumphs reached even the most desolate corners of the universe, turning mere hope into actionable rebellion. Thus came the birth of the Union of Slayer, a conglomerate of ex-slaves, disenfranchised exiles, and humans who could no longer turn a blind eye to galactic oppression. They united under a shared vision of a cosmos free from the iron grip of the Galactic Empire. Among them was Marcus Rylan, a former captain of the Empire's fleet who had grown disillusioned with the corrupt system he once served. With his chiseled jawline, piercing gray eyes, and a demeanor that balanced equal parts charm and resolve, Marcus became a crucial figure in the Union. Alongside him was Alara Voss, a brilliant engineer and tactician, whose fiery red hair and analytical mind often masked her deeply compassionate soul. She had witnessed the savagery of the Empire firsthand and vowed to use her intellect and skills to dismantle the very foundation of tyranny. Together, Marcus and Alara, along with countless others who joined the cause, initiated clandestine assemblies and broadcast encrypted messages, rekindling the embers of rebellion across the galaxy. Former slaves gained formidable knowledge, both military and democratic, from the Union, learning to wield weapons while forging optimistic visions of governance and freedom. By the dim glow of ship consoles and under the celestial canvas dotted with countless stars, Union members swapped stories of their sufferings and aspirations. The resonance of their shared plight strengthened their resolve. Tactical preparations ensued amidst the underbellies of space stations and hidden asteroids. Technologies once used to dominate and control were repurposed to liberate and protect. The construction of makeshift outposts and training camps intensified, as the downtrodden prepared to challenge the Galactic Empire head-on. Yet, the path to freedom was fraught with ethical dilemmas. Could the means of rebellion justify the ends of liberty? Could violence truly pave the way for a peaceful new order? The Union of Slayer found themselves grappling with these questions as they welded alliances and trained insurgents. The emotional and ethical toll of warfare loomed large, casting doubt in the hearts of even the most resolute rebels. In the secluded caverns of Valeta Colony, a hidden node of resistance, leaders debated the morality of their struggle. At what cost do we seek our liberation? Karis Alara, a soft-spoken yet formidable political refugee from the embargoed planet of Zerna, known for her piercing emerald eyes and calm demeanor, questioned whether their violent insurrection might mirror the tyranny they sought to overthrow. Can we balance our ferocity with compassion? She would ask during their nightly strategizing sessions, her voice a haunting reminder of the fragile line they walked. Though rifts of skepticism and philosophical discord often wove through their discussions, the common goal of dismantling an oppressive regime held the Union together. Beneath the awe-inspiring tapestry of constellations, the oppressed found solidarity in their collective longing for justice. The Slayer's presence, an ever-watchful guardian, reverberated hope through the corridors of despair and fortified the resolve of the newly anointed freedom fighters. The of celestial portals facilitated by the Union allowed the rapid deployment of troops, goods, and ideals essential for the movement's survival. Mystical, translucent gateways, shimmering with pulsating energy, connected remote worlds across light years. These portals became not just conduits for resources but also symbols of interconnected destinies and the broader vision of a unified galaxy. The palpable excitement of their nascent movement, however, was tempered by the grim reality that awaited them. Planets continually monitored under the Empire's surveillance suffered immensely. The intensity of their occupation deepened, leveraging draconian measures to quell the spreading insurgencies. The Union knew that their uprising was noticed, and that the eyes of the Empire would soon turn to hunt them with increased fervor and fury. Within the velvety black of space, where stars shimmered like ancient guardians and the nebulas painted an otherworldly canvas, the Union of Slayer prepared to fan the flames of rebellion. This cosmic struggle against an oppressive regime was not just a battle for territory but a profound journey towards reclaiming the very essence of dignity and justice. Each member of the Union, from the seasoned warriors to the newly liberated, bore scars, both visible and hidden, that told tales of suffering, resilience, and an unyielding thirst for freedom. And thus, with bated breath and unwavering resolve, they braced for what was to come. Join us in witnessing this transformative saga. From the ashes of despair, the Union of Slayer strives to reshape the galaxy, stirring awe with their courage. Prepare to immerse yourself in the profound battle against tyranny, delve into the mysteries yet to be unraveled, and stay with us till the end to discover how this magnificent epic unfurls. The backdrop of deep space was an endless, impenetrable black void, flecked only by the distant pinpricks of light from stars scattered across the cosmos. Against this daunting expanse, the embattled edges of the Galactic Empire's territory shone like a flickering reminder of both civilization and oppression. As the Union of Slayer continued its relentless campaign for freedom, the Slayer, legendary in both resilience and ruthlessness, found himself repeatedly confronting sprawling, fortified bastions of imperial power. Within the heart of one such imperial stronghold, known as Bastion Corinth, lay an intricately designed defense network. Walls of gleaming, impervious nanosteel combined with electromagnetic barriers capable of vaporizing anyone who dared approach without clearance. The Empire had filled these bastions with elite troops and sophisticated automated turrets, crafting them to be impervious fortresses, defying any assault. Infiltrating these bastions seemed an insurmountable task, but the Slayer wielded a combination of brute force and insidious strategy. On this particular mission, he deployed a covert virus, ingeniously designed to snake through the Empire's digital infrastructure. The virus acted like a silent saboteur, breaching firewalls and rendering defense mechanisms inert. The Slayer's forces easily bypassed these once formidable barriers, subduing the elite guards of Bastion Corinth and taking control of the stronghold. Despite their expanding influence, the specter of internal discord haunted the Union. The once unified alliance, bonded over a shared determination to overthrow their oppressors, began to show cracks. Amidst the clamor for justice and liberation, paranoia found fertile ground. Some members, having tasted newfound power and freedom, started suspecting others of betrayal and harboring ambitions of personal gain. This mistrust was further fueled by the relentless pressures of wartime decision-making and the moral ambiguities of their rebellion. The Union, desperate for supplies and reinforcements, reached out to their intergalactic allies through celestial portals, engineering marvels that defied space and time. These portals facilitated not just the transfer of crucial resources like advanced weaponry and medical supplies, but also an invaluable exchange of military strategies and philosophies of governance and diplomacy. Yet, the portal technology itself was not without its perils. Each opening of a portal came with the risk of detection by the Empire's agents, and the Union had to carefully calculate and camouflage their communications to avoid interception and counterattacks. Each emission brought with it an acute tension, the knowledge that they might need to collapse the portal at a moment's notice to avoid catastrophic discovery. Inside the Bastion Corinth, the control room was a cold expanse of hyper-modern technology. Holographic displays shimmered in the air, overlaying tactical data and communication streams in a dizzying array of colors and symbols. Troops drilled in the hallways and in briefing rooms, swarming over datapads as real-time updates from the front lines blinked into existence on their screens. Among this bustling hub of activity, Lieutenant Sorina Arcturus stood as a beacon of order. Clad in the Union's insignia, Sorina's cerulean eyes scanned the flood of data, her mind working to discern patterns and weaknesses in their enemies' defenses. Sorina's background as a former Imperial officer now provided the Union with invaluable insights into the inner workings of the Empire she had once served. A tall figure, her presence was both commanding and serene, an embodiment of the complexity of the rebellion, as she balanced loyalty to the cause with the ghosts of her Imperial past. Amidst the digital overlays and tactical maps, one display flashed with a priority transmission. Sorina touched the screen, and the message resolved into the face of Commander Garin Thorn, a key figure in the Union's leadership. His grizzled features bore the marks of countless battles, and his eyes, sharp, determined, held the weight of responsibility. Lieutenant Arcturus, report on the latest operation. Thorn's voice, modulated by the secure comm link, filled the room. Sorina detailed the successful breach of Bastion Corinth's defenses and the critical weaknesses they had exploited. She described the integration of the covert virus and the subsequent swift overpowering of the stronghold's elite defenders. Excellent, but there's a new concern, Thorn interjected. Our intelligence suggests that certain elements within our ranks are showing signs of dissent. The strain is creating fissures among our troops, leading us to suspect the possibility of betrayal. Sorina's brow furrowed. The cohesion of the Union had always been one of its most formidable strengths. Paranoia, however justified, could unravel everything they'd fought for. She swore silently to personify the unwavering resolve that bolstered the Union's resolve against such insidious threats. Thorn continued, "We need to root out these dissidents before they compromise our operations." Your insight and connections from your Imperial days might be critical in identifying and addressing these elements. Sorina acknowledged, a mixture of trepidation and resolve in her gaze. She would have to tread carefully, ensuring that the quest for unity did not devolve into a witch hunt that might irreversibly fracture their alliance. Back on the front lines, the Slayer, clad in battle-worn armor that bore the scars of innumerable skirmishes, advanced through the corridors. His presence exuded a raw, almost elemental power, each step measured, every movement precise. As the vanguard of liberation, the Slayer's every action inspired both fear and awe among those who opposed or stood with him. His enigmatic silence during operations added to his almost mythical reputation. In the quieter moments, between the violent engagements, even the Slayer wasn't immune to the turbulent introspection that plagued the Union. Each prisoner the Union liberated, each stronghold they claimed, brought with it stories of suffering and resilience. It was in these moments that the ethical dilemmas of their cause bore heavily on his weary shoulders. In one such somber interlude, the Slayer remembered a village on Itera, a world now a battlefield in the Union's fight for freedom. The villagers, reduced to servitude by the Empire, had welcomed their liberators with a mixture of relief and mourning for lost lives and broken families. The Slayer recalled the words of the village elder, an old man with eyes that had seen too much pain. Freedom, he had whispered, is an arduous journey. It is not only won but also nurtured and guarded. The Slayer knew that true liberation went beyond the defeat of the Empire. It required the establishment of a just order, where the liberated could finally live without the perpetual shadow of fear. The Union had exceptional individuals like Lieutenant Sorina, Commander Thorne, and many others who held the ethical compass of their cause. But the Slayer understood that the greater challenge lay in fusing their collective strengths and ideals into a unified force that could withstand both external and internal pressures. As the Union secured its newly won territory, reinforcements streamed through the celestial portals. On board the Grand Imperial cruiser, Immortal Truth, the air crackled with tension. The ship's once pristine hallways and command centers now bore scars of recent battles, signs of the internal mutiny that had just erupted. The crew, a mix of experienced Imperial officers and conscripts from subjugated worlds, found themselves embroiled in a conflict driven by a single, agonizing order: to face the Slayer in direct combat. The insolence of demanding compliance to a suicidal charge was met with a collective refusal. The crew's defection transformed the ship into a vessel of rebellion, ripe for the Slayer's seizing. The hull reverberated with the muted hum of the ship's colossal engines, pushing them through the abyss of space, deeper into enemy territory. Inside the command deck, the atmosphere was fraught with nervy anticipation. Crew members manned their posts with wary eyes darting at every noise, every flicker of the control panel's holograms. The former Imperial officers now found themselves following the Slayer, a man known more as a myth than a reality. His presence loomed large, an enigmatic figure whose very name sent shivers through the galaxy's richest and most ruthless elite. Standing at the forefront, the Slayer surveyed his new command. Clad in black and adorned with remnants of battles past, he emanated a quiet, unyielding power. His eyes, dark and piercing, held the weight of countless decisions and the burden of the many lives now intertwined with his mission. They had a singular focus: to disrupt and dismantle the Empire from within. The ship's transformation into a potent tool of subterfuge began in earnest. The Slayer directed efforts to retrofit Immortal Truth for their new covert missions. Engineering teams dismantled pieces of the ship's offensive arsenal, converting them into tools for sabotage. Navigation specialists plotted courses through uncharted territories, allowing the cruiser to flit through the void unnoticed by enemy sensors. For the traitors who had thrown their lot in with the Union, this was a redemptive arc. Formerly loyal to the Empire's creed, They now found a new purpose under the Slayer's command. Redemption was not just a moral aspiration but a tangible, urgent goal. Each mission solidified their commitment, each success a step closer to absolving their prior sins of tyranny and oppression. One such mission took them deep into the heart of a remote star system, the epicenter of a massive imperial refinery, where the processing of rare minerals provided the Empire with the resources necessary to fuel its expansive war machine. Here, the Union faced the grueling task of not just stopping production, but also liberating the enslaved miners, the physical embodiment of the Empire's oppressive machinery. The descent into the refinery was wrought with peril. Asteroids floated menacingly in the silence of space, shadows drifting across the surface of the behemoth installation beneath when viewed through the ship's large observation deck. Most of the miners were kept underground in vast mining caverns, out of sight, existing only as numbers on an imperial ledger. Upon arrival, the Union forces, camouflaged and shrouded in the darkness of space, deployed into the refinery. Highly skilled operatives infiltrated the depths of the installation using stealth technologies. The sounds of their unobtrusive movements were drowned by the relentless pound of machinery and the endless hum of the facility's life force. In pitch darkness, they moved with pinpoint precision, disabling security systems and sending encrypted messages back to Immortal Truth for real-time coordination. As the first wave of Union soldiers cut through the heart of the refinery's defenses, chaos erupted. Timed explosives arranged by the infiltrators shattered critical infrastructure, releasing plumes of smoke and fiery embers. The once cold, lifeless metallic arteries of the installation were now throbbing with the heat of destruction. Alarms wailed, and beams of warning red light flashed through the cavernous halls. Miners, unaccustomed to the light, emerged from their subterranean prisons, bewildered yet hopeful. Union medics and humanitarian personnel swooped in, guiding them to extraction points with promises, a brighter future and retribution against the forces that had enslaved them for so long. The emotional weight of this rescue was not lost on the hardened soldiers. It was a stark reminder of the true cost of their strife and the humanity at stake. Back on the ship, tension thickened as the crew anticipated retaliation. This rescue had unveiled a loophole in the Empire's stringent security, and the repercussions were bound to follow swiftly. Every member of the crew knew that with each victory came greater risk, a hunt that grew ever closer. The Slayer, aware of the encroaching dangers, pushed for more aggressive and strategic assaults. The victory at the refinery reverberated through the galaxy. For the freed people, it was a beacon of hope, an example of the Union's capability and purpose. For the enslavers, it was a chilling testament to the Union's reach and determination. Outsiders began to take notice, factions and neutral planets watching closely, pondering where their alliances might lie if the tide truly turned. Within the hull of the Immortal Truth, a debate simmered regarding the ethics of their rebellious campaign. Commanders and other high-ranking officers, influenced by both their pasts and the Union's future prospects, discussed strategy and morality in hushed, often heated conclaves. Should they continue the path of relentless assault, risking countless lives in high-profile, high-stake incursions? Or should they pivot toward fostering alliances and waiting for the right moment to strike a fatal blow against a weakened empire? This ethical quagmire stood tall as the Slayer's defining role. His decisions and their consequences reverberated through the rebel lines and beyond. The dichotomy of his mission, striking fast against the oppressors while preserving the newfound lives at the edge of freedom, posed moral weight too hefty even for a warrior of his renown. Amidst these internal tribulations, a pressing SOS transmitted from a fringe planetary system cut through the strategic debate like a hot knife. The message described a small, defenseless colony under siege by an imperial dreadnought, every plea for help carrying the urgency of impending annihilation. The implications were clear. If the rebels hoped to maintain their growing reputation and morality, acting swiftly was imperative. The immortal truth moved with haste, navigating the intricate and often perilous trails of subspace, each warp jump carrying them closer to the distressed colony. The journey offered little solace. The tension was palpable as engineers worked to maintain the ship's integrity and the soldiers prepared for the clash ahead. Emerging from the final warp, the view was stark. The dreadnought, an immeasurable Goliath, laying waste to a defenseless David. Buildings smoldered beneath its bombardment, crops, water sources, and homes were obliterated indiscriminately. The Slayer, witnessing this scene unfold, commanded his crew with ice-like calmness infused with fierce resolve. Aboard the immortal truth, every surface glimmered with an eerie, translucent glow cast by the ship's advanced bioluminescent lights. The inclusion of such sophisticated technology was a testament to the legacy of what the Empire once prided itself on before it descended into autocracy and oppression. As the cruiser glided through the void, the Slayer, a towering figure clad in a sleek, battle-worn exosuit, stared out of the panoramic observation deck. His mind was a storm of strategic calculations and ethical quandaries. Once a lone warrior driven by vengeance, he was now the reluctant leader of a burgeoning rebellion. The nascent Union was born out of diversity and shared suffering, converting anger and despair into determination. Their motto, "Freedom through Unity," resonated through the hallways of the immortal truth. Among the crew were ex-slaves, political dissidents, and those who simply sought a life without the Empire's iron grip. All carried scars, visible or not, and each had a tale of loss that added fuel to the insurrection. As the cruiser approached the enslaved colony of Ilaria Prime, a planet targeted by the Union for liberation, Captain Jackson Yates, the ex-Imperial navigator, relayed vital information to the Slayer. "We have less than 12 hours before the Imperial dreadnought Eternity's Embrace reaches us. This operation must be swift, or we face annihilation." Yates, with his calculated demeanor and precise speech, was invaluable in turning the tide against the Empire. Ilaria Prime sprawled beneath them, a world shrouded in dusk due to its axial tilt. The planet was a blend of sprawling industrial complexes and vibrant biodomes, which held the imprisoned species and their cultures in a fragile balance. The Empire's chokehold on Ilaria Prime was both a physical and psychological enslavement, economic marvels layered with a suffocating lack of freedom. The rebel crew prepared for descent using state-of-the-art drop pods camouflaged with stealth technology. The assertive and dynamic strategist Kira Langford led the insertion team. Her sharp mind and quick reflexes had transformed her from a scavenger on the streets of Tyrannus to one of the Union's most revered tacticians. Her leadership was a beacon of hope amidst the omnipresent fear. As the pods entered Ilaria Prime's atmosphere, the Slayer commanded the ship's advanced AI, codenamed Neuronus, to secure a circumspect landing zone. The descent through the atmosphere was a cacophony of hisses and vibrations, blending with the clamor of both anticipation and dread. On the surface, the oppressive architectures of the Empire loomed over them, with colossal mechanical sentinels patrolling the perimeter. The Union forces moved with synchronized precision, navigating through the labyrinthine complexes. They faced immediate opposition from the well-armed Imperial Guards, setting off an intense skirmish in the shadow of the mechanical behemoths. Melees erupted where plasma bolts blazed paths across the darkened skies. The Slayer, with his superior combat skills, tore through the metallic defenses, each move calculated like a high-stakes chess game. Kira's squad seamlessly outflanked the enemy, dismantling the energy barriers imprisoning the Elarians. For the Elarians, each freed prisoner was a drop of light in the pool of darkness that suffused their world. Fezoric, an elder statesman with imposing blue eyes and a presence that commanded respect, emerged as their spokesperson. He represented the amalgamation of various subjugated species who had developed unique cultural amalgamations, evident in their attire, adorned with intricate designs and emblems of resistance. With the initial objective achieved, new dilemmas arose. Fezoric approached the Slayer, his voice both grateful and urgent. "We need to dismantle the neural inhibitors lodged within our people, or liberation will be as hollow as a void." The neural inhibitors were a chilling imperial invention designed to suppress not only rebellion but also free thought. Neuronus, taping into the intricate network of imperial data, guided the surgical teams formed by med-techs and former imperial scientists. The procedure to remove neural inhibitors required precision and live data processing, stretching the skills and morale of the crew to their limits. Ethical battles mirrored the physical confrontation as the decision to proceed with these high-stakes removals weighed heavily, knowing that error could mean cognitive obliteration. As the neural inhibitors were being removed, the connection between enslaved and savior deepened. Hope and trepidation melded, dreams collided with reality. The Larian biodomes started to pulse with life, mirroring the awakening spirit of the emancipated. However, the shadow of the Imperial dreadnought loomed closer. Yates received distressing intelligence through intercepted communications. The Eternity's embrace, showcasing the Empire's latest military enhancements and led by the ruthless Admiral Thane, was on an uncompromising trajectory toward Ilaria Prime. Thane's reputation preceded him. Logical to a fault and merciless in execution, he epitomized the Empire's brutal efficiency. Within the Union, calculations and debates ensued. Retreat seemed cowardly, yet facing the dreadnought head-on bordered on suicidal. Ethical reflections pierced the tactical discussions. Were they to risk all they had built for the chance to stand against ultimate oppression, or preserve their strength for future battles? A compromise materialized, an ambush forged by necessity and desperation. Utilizing the talents of Neuronus, Yates plotted an intricate maneuver to exploit the gravitational pulls and electromagnetic disturbances around Ilaria Prime's 2 moons. The plan hinged on flawless execution and timing. The Union's strategy involved split-second jumps through localized wormholes, a delicate technique that demanded immense power and carried the risk of catastrophic backfire. Clad in their tactical exosuits, the crew braced for the incoming onslaught. The resistance forces of Ilaria Prime fortified the planetary defenses, gleaning what few advantages they could from their limited resources. For many, it felt like a last stand, a defining moment in a war where personal vendettas intertwined with collective destiny. As the ominous shadow of Eternity's embrace fell upon the horizon, the tension aboard the Immortal Truth palpably thickened. The cosmic ballet of power and resistance was reaching an apogee. The Slayer stood at the helm, his thoughts riveted on the blurred lines between heroism and hubris, liberation and devastation. The battle unfolded in a symphony of light and shadow, as plasma cannons roared and defensive shields flared like supernovas. The Union deployed every ounce of their cunning and bravery, each member playing their role with precision. Drones swarmed, cloaked fighters weaved through star-streaked skies, and foundational turrets launched arcs of electrolasers. Despite the odds, glimpses of hope sparked through the chaos. The strategy set by Yates and operationalized by Kira twisted and strained the Empire's numerical superiority. The Galactic Empire, once an indomitable force that had cast its shadow over countless worlds, now teetered on the brink of collapse. The Union of Slayer, an alliance forged in the crucible of resistance, had become a beacon of hope, its influence spreading like wildfire through the galaxy. Under the leadership of the Slayer, the Union had accomplished what many had thought impossible, breaking the chains of tyranny and igniting a revolution that would forever alter the course of history. The final offensive against the heart of the Galactic Empire was a testament to the power of unity and determination. The Union, bolstered by countless species and civilizations that had joined their cause, assembled the largest fleet the galaxy had ever seen. Ships of every size and design, bristling with weaponry and manned by crews driven by a singular purpose, converged on the Empire's central system. The stars themselves seemed to pale in comparison to the sheer magnitude of the force that now bore down upon the Imperial capital. The Slayer, aboard the commandeered Imperial cruiser Immortal Truth, led the charge. The ship had become a symbol of defiance, its name now synonymous with the rebellion that had brought the Empire to its knees. The Slayer stood at the helm, his presence a source of strength for those who had placed their trust in him. Clad in armor that bore the scars of countless battles, he was a living legend, a warrior whose name had become a rallying cry for the oppressed. As the Union fleet emerged from hyperspace, the Imperial capital loomed before them, a sprawling metropolis of towering spires and fortified citadels, bathed in the cold light of its dying sun. The city, once a symbol of the Empire's unyielding power, now stood as a testament to the hubris and arrogance that had led to its downfall. The Emperor's palace, a massive structure of blackened steel and obsidian, dominated the skyline, its walls guarded by legions of loyal soldiers and advanced defense systems. But the Union was undeterred. This was the moment they had fought for, the culmination of years of sacrifice and struggle. As the order was given, the fleet descended upon the city, unleashing a barrage of firepower that shook the very foundations of the Empire. The sky above the capital was filled with the thunder of explosions and the brilliant flashes of energy weapons, as ships from both sides clashed in a titanic battle for the fate of the galaxy. The Slayer and his crew, aboard the Immortal Truth, spearheaded the assault. The cruiser, with its advanced shields and devastating arsenal, cut through the Imperial defenses like a knife through butter. Targeting key installations and command centers, they struck with precision and ferocity, their every move calculated to dismantle the Empire's war machine. Inside the Imperial palace, the Emperor watched the battle unfold with a mixture of rage and disbelief. His empire, which had once seemed invincible, was crumbling before his eyes. He had underestimated the resolve of the Union, and now, he faced the consequences of his arrogance. But the Emperor was not one to surrender easily. With a final, desperate command, he activated the palace's last line of defense, a massive energy shield that enveloped the entire structure, impervious to all but the most powerful attacks. The shield, powered by the planet's core, was a marvel of engineering, designed to withstand any assault. But the Union had anticipated this move. The Slayer, having studied the Empire's tactics and technology, had devised a plan to bring down the shield. It was a gamble, a risky maneuver that required precise timing and coordination, but it was their only hope of breaking through the Emperor's final bastion. The plan hinged on the use of a specialized weapon, a graviton bomb, capable of creating a localized singularity that would disrupt the energy field. The bomb, however, needed to be delivered directly to the shield's generator, located deep within the palace. It was a mission that required both skill and courage, and the Slayer knew that only he could lead it. With a select team of the Union's best fighters, the Slayer boarded a shuttle and descended toward the palace. The journey through the battle-ravaged city was harrowing, with enemy fire and debris creating a deadly gauntlet. But the Slayer and his team pressed on, their determination unshaken by the dangers they faced. As they neared the palace, the shield loomed before them, an impenetrable barrier that seemed to pulse with malevolent energy. The Slayer guided the shuttle to a landing platform just outside the shield's perimeter, where they would make their final approach on foot. The team disembarked, their weapons at the ready, and advanced toward the generator, their every step echoing with the weight of the galaxy's hopes. Inside the palace, the Emperor sensed their approach. With a sneer, he ordered his elite guards to intercept the intruders. These were no ordinary soldiers. They were the best the Empire had to offer, trained in the arts of combat and equipped with the finest weaponry. As the Slayer and his team entered the palace, they were met with fierce resistance. The corridors of the palace became a battlefield, with the Union fighters engaging the Imperial Guards in brutal close-quarters combat. The fighting was intense, but the Union's resolve was unbreakable. They had come too far, sacrificed too much, to be stopped now. The Slayer, his movements a blur of lethal precision, led the charge, cutting down anyone who stood in their way. His reputation as a legendary warrior was well earned, and those who faced him quickly learned why he was feared across the galaxy. Finally, they reached the generator chamber, a massive, cavernous room filled with the hum of energy and the glow of the shield's power source. The generator itself was a towering structure of crystalline machinery, surrounded by a network of conduits and control panels. It was heavily guarded, but the Slayer and his team had no intention of retreating. With a battle cry that echoed through the chamber, they launched their final assault. The battle that ensued was nothing short of epic. The Union fighters, outnumbered and outgunned, fought with a ferocity born of desperation and determination. The Imperial Guards, knowing that their failure would mean the end of the Empire, defended the generator with everything they had. The air was filled with the sounds of blaster fire, the clash of energy blades, and the shouts of combatants locked in mortal struggle. Amidst the chaos, the Slayer reached the generator's core. With a quick, practiced motion, he activated the graviton bomb and placed it at the base of the structure. The device hummed to life, its energy building to a critical point. There was no time to waste. The Slayer signaled his team to fall back, and they fought their way out of the chamber, leaving the bomb to do its work. As they retreated, the bomb detonated. The singularity it created was brief but powerful, collapsing the generator in on itself and severing the shield's power source. The energy field that had protected the palace flickered, then vanished, leaving the structure vulnerable to attack. Outside, the Union fleet seized the opportunity. With the shield down, they unleashed their full arsenal on the palace, targeting key points with pinpoint accuracy. The once impenetrable fortress began to crumble under the onslaught, its walls buckling and collapsing as explosions tore through its foundations. The Emperor, now realizing that his time had come, made a final, desperate bid to escape. But there was no escape from the judgment that awaited him. The Slayer, having fought his way back to the surface, intercepted the Emperor as he attempted to flee. The two warriors faced each other in the ruins of the palace, the final battle between the old and the new. The duel was fierce, a clash of titans that shook the very ground beneath them. The Emperor, though powerful, was no match for the Slayer's skill and determination. With a final, decisive strike, the Slayer ended the reign of the Emperor, bringing an end to the tyranny that had plagued the galaxy for so long. As the dust settled, the Union's victory became clear. The Empire's forces, leaderless and demoralized, surrendered en masse. The capital, once a symbol of oppression, was now in the hands of the Union. The galaxy, at long last, was free. In the days that followed, the Union worked to establish a new order, one built on the principles of democracy, cooperation, and mutual respect. The liberated worlds came together to form a galactic council, where every voice could be heard, and every decision made with the welfare of all in mind. The era of tyranny was over, and a new age of peace and prosperity had begun. The Slayer, his mission complete, retreated from the spotlight. He had never sought power or glory, only the freedom of those who had suffered under the Empire's rule. With the galaxy now at peace, he chose to walk away, leaving the future in the hands of those he had fought to liberate. But his legacy endured. The story of the Slayer and the Union became legend, a tale passed down through the generations as a reminder of what could be achieved when people stood together against oppression. The galaxy had been forever changed, its future bright with the promise of a better tomorrow. As the stars shone brightly in the night sky, the galaxy itself seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. The struggle had been long and hard, but the victory was worth the cost. And though the Slayer's name would echo through the annals of history, the true heroes were the countless beings who had joined the fight, who had dared to dream of a world free from tyranny. In the end, the greatest lesson of the Slayer's journey was clear. Power, no matter how absolute, could be toppled by the will of the people. And as the galaxy moved forward, it carried with it the knowledge that unity, sacrifice, and the pursuit of justice could overcome even the darkest of times. The saga of the Slayer and the Union was over, but the story of the galaxy had only just begun. If you liked this story based on real events, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to like it. Here you can dive into a different reality every day, where anything can happen. Comment below what kind of story you would like to hear here. Thank you very much for your attention. We are the Sci-Fi family.